time for it to come back home. Coming up next.
But first, a new movement in support of the most well-known players in the NFL. Who's behind it? Why they're hoping to get the community involved. That's when Action News at 10 comes right back. Preachers across the nation are pushing for an NFL blackout, and local pastors are reacting today. It's an effort to support the now unemployed quarterback who refused to stand for the national anthem last year. But first, 7 Action News reporter Naya Harden has a closer look at pastors in the Detroit area going on the offense to defend that QB.
It's called #Blackout the NFL. It's a group of pastors that are standing up with Colin Kaepernick, and one barbershop in Midtown tells us they think this movement is gonna spread.
Titans, I'm blacking you out.
I'm blacking you out. I'm blacking you out.
If he's willing to take a knee for us, certainly we ought to take a stand and stand with him.
Barbers at Executive Cuts and more in Midtown are reacting to a new video that shows several pastors protesting the NFL for Colin Kaepernick.
I mean, it's a real growing problem. It's serious, and it's a real problem that exists here in America that we really need to deal with.
Reverend Anthony at Fellowship Chapel says #Blackout NFL means so much more.
This is not about Colin Kaepernick. This is about the right of a citizen in the United States of America to exercise his or her constitutional rights.
The movement has 4 steps.
We refuse to watch the NFL.
That includes buying merchandise, commit 2 hours to the community,
To pour in to our African American boys and girls.
spread the word.
Since our lives matter so little to them, their product will matter even less to us.
And take a knee in prayer.
We devote this season to prayer each morning, 6 a.m.
Nobody can say what his play is because he hasn't received the opportunity to show you what he's able to do.
Pastors are hoping this will change the game, and barbers say it will.
The shepherd is leading, and when the flock follows and they believe in their pastor and they follow and trust him, then it's going to make a great impact in our community.
We've posted the entire video of Blackout NFL on our website at WXYZ.com. Nia Hardin, 7 Action News.
Well, coming home, the house of an American civil rights icon could be returning to the U.S. real soon. The home of Rosa Parks has been in Berlin for about a year now. But now the artist who saved it from destruction in Detroit says it's time for a return. American artist Ryan Mendoza says with a growing call to remove Confederate monuments, the country needs more shrines to the civil rights movement. There's no timeline yet on when the small home may be brought back.
There's a new development for the restaurant crowd in downtown Royal Oak. Looks like Taco Bell is moving into the old Cold Stone Creamery location on Main Street, and it's now hiring workers. The signs say Cantina is coming to town. That's one of those fancy Taco Bell locations that sells alcohol, and the sign indicates it's a first for Michigan.
All right, it's not just the autumn-like temperatures across Metro Detroit. There's another sure sign that fall is just around the corner. Today, the Yates Cider Mill started its first press of the season over in Rochester Hills. They're making their first batch this weekend, and soon it'll be every day, of course. This year, they're kicking off the season with a special open house event on September 9th at Yates Cider Mill on Avon Road. And they're promising plenty of cider and donuts to go around for everyone. That sounds good to me, guys. What about you?
Sounds great as well. That time of the season for sure. Over your shoulder, it's a scary picture. We showed you the satellite imagery as well at the beginning of the newscast. Frightful, really, for what the folks in Texas are going to be facing.
Absolutely amazing, and we're looking at, again, the eye just about to make landfall, so any minute now, and that's really when we say, okay, here we go. But these outer rain bands and winds have just been battering the coast of Texas, and here we go right now. This is really the broad perspective of what's happening. Some of those outer rain bands already into Houston, Galveston. They have really been through the evening hours. Do want to zoom in on the eye, which is relatively calm too. And you can see where it's located. It's going to continue to drift to the west. Now the most severe weather is just on that eye wall, just surrounding that relatively calm center. And we've had some reports of sustained winds over 100 miles per hour near Rockport, so very close, and then gusting up to 120. So this is what we're looking at. This is our forecast model, and you can see it's just continuing to turn and turn, wavering back and forth and moving over Houston, bringing some heavy rain all across the Gulf states. But we're also looking at it maybe wandering into parts of Louisiana too by the time we're done. And this extends, this is only going up until Monday. This extends all the way into the middle of the week. With that said, we've been talking about the water content. The storm surge combined with the rainfall could see 15 to 25 inches of rain, locally 35 or more with that 6 to 12 foot storm surge. It is going to be just unfortunately devastating when all is said and done, and we'll be watching it through the weekend into next week. So 75 degrees here. Do want to talk about our local forecast. It's been quiet. It's been nice. 81 is what we average. 52 is where we started. A little cool. And if we look at our rainfall and we take it back to June, we are behind by almost 3 inches. We could use some rain here. Clear and 55 in Ann Arbor. Not going to see it tonight. 64 degrees downtown. We do have that calm wind overnight. The dew point nice and low, signifying that the air is very dry. Sunrise is at 6:53. Sunset tomorrow is at 8:17, and both should be spectacular. So really no change in our forecast. High pressure, broad area of high pressure will bring us sunshine during the day tomorrow. Maybe a little more cloud cover on Sunday. Notice where this front is. It is bringing strong storms to parts of the Dakotas and then edging into areas like Minnesota. If this slows up a bit, that would be our effects from that tropical, of course, hurricane from Hurricane Harvey, a major Category 4, meaning it may disrupt the flow of the jet stream a little and delay our chances for rain. Not meaning it's going to directly affect us as far as down there, but just the flow of the weather pattern and how it goes. But 54 the low tonight, 75 the high tomorrow, mostly sunny and pleasant. And there's that 7-day forecast. We seem to be hovering right around 80 for most of next week. Our rain chances on Monday and Tuesday. could use a little bit for certainly our lawns. A little brown out there.
Yeah, we're thinking about our brown lawn, and people in Texas are worried about Harvey.
Of course, and prayers, of course, and thoughts to those that have friends and family out there. It's going to be just a really hard weekend.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We'll wish them all the best.
We do indeed. Still to come, an amazing story of survival, how these teenagers managed to make it out alive after 5 days lost in the Grand Canyon. Plus,
Store credit cards offering big savings at checkout.
It's very tempting when you're at the register.
Is that instant bargain worth signing up for?
The benefits versus costs of opening a store credit card and how they can also help or hurt your credit score.
Next on 7 Action News at 10.
First, let's check in with Stephen Clark for a look at what's ahead on Action News at 11.
Dave, Carolyn, thank you so much. All new tonight at 11. A woman from Metro Detroit talks to us about riding out Hurricane Harvey. Plus, there's a call to change the name of Cobo Hall. Why Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan is supporting that measure.
A mentally handicapped man gunned down in cold blood after an argument. Now, the person responsible on the run. Anne-Marie LaFlame, the U.S. Marshals.
Help catch this week's Detroit's Most Wanted.
Tonight on 7 Action News at 11.
It is all new tonight, 7 Action News at 11. We'll see you then.
back to school shopping can really take a bite out of your budget. You know that.
Yeah, and those store credit cards can be tempting.
Joanne Purden is telling buyers beware so you don't waste your money.
When ringing up a big bill, there's no doubt a discount is appealing and it may be hard to resist. Consumer Reports did the homework, by the way, and they say in many ways these cards fail to make the grade. This time of year finds Betsy Helmuth shopping. With a son in grade school and a daughter entering kindergarten, her list is long and pricey.
Per kid, I would say it's $130 to $200.
So when a salesperson asks if she wants to save 20% by opening up a store credit card, she thinks about it.
It's very tempting when you're at the register and you are going to be spending a lot of money that you already feel a little bit uncomfortable about, and they tell you that there's a chance to get a deep discount.
However, Nikhil Huthasing of Consumer Reports says store credit cards rarely rise to the head of the class. For one thing, the interest rate is often much higher, on average about 24%, well above the national average for credit cards in general, which is about 15%. Applying for any new card can also temporarily lower your credit score.
Every time an inquiry is made on your credit account, it hurts it a little bit. And while it may not seem like that much, it can be the difference between a good credit score and a bad credit score.
If you do open an account, don't shut it down immediately because that has a negative impact on your credit score as well.
The best thing to do usually is to just put the credit card away and not use it.
Huthesing says if you're looking to build your credit, store cards, which can be easier to get approved, could be a good way to get your foot in the door. And if you shop at the store often, having the card could unlock special discounts or earn points for you. But remember, with a high interest rate, it's especially important to pay your bill in full.
Because if you don't, it's going to undermine the whole purpose of getting that card in the first place.
And word to the wise, make sure you always pay that store credit card on time. If you only use it once or twice a year, it can be very easy to forget the due date. Keep that in mind so you don't waste your money. I'm Joanne Purton, 7 Action News.
All right, thanks, Joanne. Still ahead, Hurricane Harvey is picking up strength.
When it'll make landfall and why experts are calling this a life-threatening storm.
Seven Action News at 10 starts right now with a breaking news alert.
We continue to follow the breaking news. A live look out of Texas where people there are bracing for Hurricane Harvey to make landfall.
The now Category 4 hurricane is set to make landfall at any minute now with up to 130-mile-per-hour winds. The biggest threat is to the Gulf Coast. The cities of Corpus Christi and Port Aransas given orders to evacuate further inland. Houston is expected to experience strong wind and heavy flooding. In preparation for the devastation, President Donald Trump says he has signed a disaster declaration for Texas. Now, Hurricane Harvey continues its path to Texas, but that's not the only place it's headed right now.
Yeah, 7 First Alert meteorologist Hallie Vogel has been tracking the storm, keeping an eye on it. And the path is significant as well now and for the days ahead.
Yeah, you're right about that. And significant in the fact that it's rare that we see a major hurricane like this just sort of meandering almost in the same location for days on end. And that's what we're going to see. You can see that the eye is just beginning to come on land. Have not had the official word from the National Hurricane Center yet that it has made landfall, but certainly is very, very close. And you can see it here. And within that eye wall, so just outside the eye, 100+ mile/hour sustained winds gusting as high as 120 as it continues its journey ever so slightly to the northwest. It's moving fairly slowly. So we'll continue to watch it over the weekend because it's going to be a long duration with very, very heavy rain and devastating storm surge. I'll show you the track coming up, of course, with my next update.
All right, Holly, thank you. President Trump continues to put the pressure on Republicans in Congress. Pay for his wall on the Mexican border or face a government shutdown. President Trump left Washington for Camp David on Friday, but he's staying firm on his demand for Congress to pay for his wall on the border of Mexico. The House and Senate are on summer recess, of course. When they return, they'll have to raise the nation's spending limit by September 29th. Congress also has to pass legislation to keep the government funded.
The end game is for Congress to do its job and actually pass legislation. I think the American people are very frustrated with Congress's lack of action.
President Trump promised that Mexico would pay for the wall during the campaign, but now he wants Congress to put up the funds.
Well, a health insurance company is facing criticism tonight for releasing confidential information on thousands of its customers. Aetna accidentally revealed the HIV status of 12,000 people. The information came out in a letter sent to multiple clients. It also showed the beginning of a letter advising customers about options when filling prescriptions for HIV medication. An official for Aetna responded by saying that type of mistake is unacceptable. A Volkswagen engineer with a key role in the diesel emissions scandal learned his fate. James Robert Lang will spend the next 3 years in prison. He also will have to pay a fine of $200,000. Lang asked the judge to consider probation and 1,500 hours of community service. He is one of 2 Volkswagen employees to plead guilty. Each knew about the software used to cheat U.S. emission rules on nearly 600,000 diesel vehicles.
The White House is imposing more sanctions on Venezuela tonight. President Trump signed an executive order banning U.S. banks from providing new money to the Venezuelan government or state oil company. The new sanctions are meant to send a clear message to the country's president about his unfair treatment of citizens.
We are not going to tolerate the dictatorship he's trying to create, and we're not going to respect the sham assembly. And so at this point, we felt like because we're not seeing any progress towards lifting up the Venezuelan people, and we see more of the power grab that Maduro is trying to do, the sanctions were another option to send him a message.
The White House says the current Venezuelan president is depriving the people of food and medicine, and that the U.S. will not, quote, stand by as Venezuela crumbles.
Well, we are learning more about the Natalee Holloway investigation after new DNA testing on human remains recently found in Aruba. Today, preliminary DNA results show the remains are from a Caucasian person of European descent. That matches the profile of the missing 18-year-old who was declared dead in 2012. You may recall she went missing in Aruba on the last day of her high school graduation trip. That was in 2005. The investigation is part of a 6-part documentary on the Oxygen Channel, The Disappearance of Natalee Holloway. According to Oxygen.com, by next month, the DNA results will conclusively determine whether the bone fragments belong to Holloway.
2 teens who were stranded in the Grand Canyon for 5 days are back home tonight. Reese McMichael and Rowan Fitch were on a hike inside the canyon when they mistakenly turned off a trail and got lost. The teens were stranded in 100-degree heat with no cell phone signal to call for help. The 18-year-olds say they ran out of water and survived by staying in the shade, drinking from puddles, and rationing the 1 granola bar they had carried with them.
Every day we'd eat a piece of a granola bar about that big. We made a big sign with like rocks at the base of the trail that pointed to where we were.
Well, their sign eventually worked. On the 5th day, a helicopter flew past. The best friends were able to use tree branches to help flag down rescuers. The 2 were dehydrated, but otherwise okay.
Thank goodness they were found, huh? Well, in tonight's health alert, sugar can be just as addictive as cocaine. According to scientists from St. Luke's Mid-America Heart Institute, sugar has a similar effect on your brain to powerful illegal drugs. They say it can cause cravings, binges, and withdrawal symptoms similar to a drug addict going cold turkey. Cutting it out may lead to depression and even behavioral disorders like ADHD.
Still to come, one of the best in boxing history is taking on one of the UFC's best. The jaw-dropping amount of money this super fight is expected to bring in.
But first, terrifying moments caught on camera. What happened in a matter of seconds that shut down traffic for hours?
Terrifying crash is all caught on camera. A big rig plows right into a highway sign. Check it out. Yeah, not good. This happened yesterday near Houston. The truck had its bed raised and barreled right into the overhead sign, sending it crashing to the ground. A driver tried to warn that big rig, but it was too late. The highway was closed for hours as crews worked to clear the scene.
Well, NASA released images that give a new look at Mars. These pictures of the red planet were taken a little over 3 months ago. That's when the sun started melting the snow and ice that accumulated during the Martian winter. The end result is this pattern of melting ice and red sand dunes. Underneath it, by the way, the Martian ice is actually frozen carbon monoxide, also known as dry ice.
Incredible images there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. For parents who have trouble letting go, tent cities are popping up around universities in China. The inhabitants, parents of the students. The tents are set up to give parents of freshman students a place to relax, rest, and reflect. Most students are the only children, thanks to China's strict family planning policy. So officials say it gives parents and students a way to ease into the big change both will go through.
All right, now, fight night is only 1 day away, and the hype has reached a fever pitch in Las Vegas. Undefeated boxer Floyd "Money" Mayweather is set to take on the Ultimate Fighting champion Conor McGregor. Mayweather says he's coming out of retirement to fight the outspoken Irish star of the UFC, McGregor. The fight is expected to be watched on pay-per-view by a record 50 million people. The payoff could be as much as $700 million. Many in the medical community, though, are worried because this will be McGregor's first professional boxing match, while Mayweather has had at least 49. But the two say their only focus is winning.
I don't see him lasting 2 rounds. I certainly know I'm going to win. I certainly know that.
He can do a lot of this, I can do a lot of this, but it comes down to the skills. And it comes down to us fighting and competing.
Mayweather, of course, whose nickname, and he brags about it, money, could earn at least $220 million from this fight alone. That's a lot of moolah, Dave.
That's not chump change.
I know, right?
Worth getting in the ring for, right? No matter the outcome, I guess. All right, Major League Baseball handing out suspensions, and Miguel Cabrera isn't happy.
He's not concerned about his suspension. He's upset about who didn't get suspended. Brad Galley's up next with Cabrera's comments.
Tonight, an up-close look at the Patriots. It may just be the preseason, but for Lions fans, an up-close look at how far this team has to go to compete with the very best. Penalties piling up, the defense disappearing from the first snap, and the offense in the first half virtually non-existent. The Patriots have just learned Julian Edelman likely suffered an ACL tear in the first series of the game, but Tom Brady catching Jared Davis there standing still. Chris Hogan with the touchdown. The first offensive snap, Matthew Stafford, Golden Tate. And he fumbles. The Patriots recover, and Brady doesn't waste any time. The very next play, he's going up top to Chris Hogan again. This time, even with the penalty, he connects in the corner, front corner of the end zone. Flags fly, touchdown stands. Brady going deep there. The Patriots didn't cease. 24-0, he's taken another shot, and finally, proving he's human. Glover Quinn with the interception late in the first half. The Lions trying to drive. Matthew Stafford pushing. He's finding Marvin Jones flying down the sideline and caught. 24-7 at half. Second half, a different story. Different bodies, yes, but Jake Rudock leading the second team. Jared Everderis in the end zone, a good night for him. They get on the board again, 24-21 at that point. Dwayne Washington pounding it in for the lead. The Lions taking a 28-27 lead, a tale of two halves, but the Patriots proving how well they handle the clock. In field goal range for Steven Gostowski, and he nails it. Patriots win 30-28. We've been trying to catch the updates for you here as we're running through the highlights. Tahir Whitehead left the game with an injury. If he is going to be out, that is going to be a huge blow for that defense. Major League Baseball not wasting any time. Suspensions handed down less than 24 hours after the brawl at Comerica Park. Miguel Cabrera leading the way with 7 games docked and measured next to his name. He was furious today that Aaron Judge wasn't involved in the group of those who were suspended.
My point is, why you don't say anything about yours? He tried to hit me in the floor too. You go ask to me on the floor, I no got any suspension yet. It was a lot of people going after me over there and even got suspension.
The rest of the suspensions, Gary Sanchez got 4 games. So did Tigers pitcher Alex Wilson. It's crazy just to watch this video again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Austin Romine got 2 games. Brad Ausmus suspended 1. Cabrera and Wilson said today they both plan to appeal, but that fury from Cabrera in those comments pointed at Judge and the Yankees for throwing at him. Wilson, meanwhile, admitted he meant to throw at Todd Frazier, and today he admitted honesty probably wasn't the best policy. Bright orange jersey alert. Players weekend and the Tigers, oh boy. That's what they'll be wearing all weekend with nicknames on their back. Verlander modeling it well. Top 5 tonight, 2 on for Jose Iglesias. Tigers down 1, not anymore. 1 run comes around, lands softly enough for another run to score. Tigers take a 2-1 lead. Top 6, Verlander pitching well, but Avisail Garcia getting to him. Ties it up at 2-2. This game still in progress. 2-time Stanley Cup champion Joe Kocur is hosting his annual charity softball game on Saturday. Red Wings from Dylan Larkin to Darren McCarty to Ted Lindsay will all be at Duck Lake Park in Highland for the entire day.
Oh, the first year we did it in about 6-week time frame, and we raised $17,000. This year our goal is $150,000 for this one-day event. It's just giving back to in the Red Wing name to the community.
Great Red Wings, and I've even been invited to play. So, Carolyn, if you want to see some great athletes,
you're going to be out there.
And a clown.
Come on, come on, come on.
You can come out and watch. High school football in the state opened up last night. The Friday night lights turned on tonight. And at Michigan Stadium, the battle at the Big House welcoming students from Oxford and Romeo. What an opportunity to play high school football at the Big House. Second quarter in a scoreless game, Brandon Hicks rolling out and looking back. Deep, Jared Chapsky, first touchdown of the season for Romeo. Later in the half, Oxford having trouble rushing the passer, and that gives Hawks all the time he needs. Another connection with Chapsky down the field, a nice catch in traffic. That would lead to a Romeo score the very next play. 13-0 at that point. Oxford struggling to move the ball after an interception. Nathan Goralski. Romeo pounded it home. They win and beat Oxford 30-17 at the Big House. Can you imagine starting your season off looking at the schedule saying, I get to play my first game at Michigan Stadium.
Is that cool? They'll never forget that.
Yeah, that's
pretty
awesome.
right?
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, if they never go on from there, boy, what a career highlight.
That's where my career ended.
Yeah.
High school. That's it, Hallie. That's it.
But in the Big House?
No, not there.
Not in the Big House.
Smaller house. On the bench.
Yes.
Great memories, though.
You finished now?
I'm done.
Okay,
Sorry.
there you go. All right, Hallie, we're talking Harvey, right?
He still did okay, Brad, so it's okay. Yes.
Maybe Lou.
Come on.
There we go. Well, yes, we are certainly talking Harvey. We will for days to come. Right now, the eye of the hurricane, the center, just beginning to move on land along the coast near Rockport, and you can see the well-defined eye. Just wanted to zoom in to show you right now how close it is. And when you look at the eye, this is relatively calm, but the eye wall on the outskirts, this is where you're finding anywhere from 100 mile per hour sustained winds gusting to 120. What's interesting is Rockport did clock a wind gust of 120 miles per hour. Within 10 minutes, the sustained winds were down to about 5. That is the significant significant difference between the eye, where it's relatively calm, and that eye wall, which is just that surrounding area. Unbelievable. But it's still a Category 4 at this point, and it is moving northwest at 8 miles per hour. We keep talking about how it's just wavering, and it will for days over Texas. So that's the problem with the storm surge and the rainfall. Here locally, got to talk about our local forecast. Temperatures 48 on the cool side in Port Huron, 64 still downtown, but it's high pressure that'll bring us a nice weekend overall. It's that storm out to the west we'll be watching for Monday, so that chance for a few showers Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures near 80, pretty consistent through that 10-day forecast. Stay with us. More 7 Action News ahead.
You know,